We're on an interesting quest today. We're going to try to hit some local lakes in search of panfish. There he is. And I'm going to take a survey and we're going to see who's biting where. We're going to look at some local state-managed lakes. I used to work on these lakes and fisheries, and I talked to the fisheries biologist the other day, and we're going to see if we can take our standardized sampling technique, which is a fly rod and maybe a little worm for bass, but we're just going to go around and see what we can find. There's a fish. And we're going to try to catch some of these. I'd like to catch a mess to eat if I can. Not quite. We're at Corinth Lake. That's our first stop today. It's right on 75. If you've gone to Cincinnati, you've seen it on your right. It's fairly easy access. You just go into the town of Corinth on the Corinth exit. Motor restrictions on this lake are under 10 horsepower. Now you gotta watch out for your fellow anglers. If you go by with your 10 horsepower, don't run them off the lake. Now, trolling motor only today for us because we've got a bigger boat. But hey, here's what we're catching so far at Corinth. Some smaller bluegill. Not quite big enough to keep, but he was guarding a nest. Now today we're fishing for bucks and velvet. Now there's a reason I'm using a fly rod, because this time of year, fish find themselves in a situation where they feel like they have to hit that bug. First of all, they're hungry and they're guarding a nest. And if they see that bug over top of the nest, they're gonna protect their nest. Plus it's an easy access kind of food. Doesn't take a whole lot of energy to just come up there and suck that bug in. And it's a pretty good way to sample a lake to see what's going on as far as panfish populations. Usually you'll pick up a few small bass on it too. But that's going to be our standardized, unscientific way of sampling a couple of northern lakes as we try to keep you informed on some good places to take a kid to go fish or go catch a mess of bluegill or simply just enjoy a day on the water. There's a fish. There's a colored up male, almost big enough to eat, but not quite. See, pretty little fish. He's not huge. You could get a little fillet out of there, but we're looking for a little bigger fish than that. One thing fun about a fly rod is it's really fun when you can throw that bug out there and see that fish sneak up to that bug and then hit it. Kind of helps you with the hook set and know when to set the hook. There's a good fish. He's on the nest. All right. That's the great thing about a fly rod. You can kind of get in places sometimes where you can't normally get. I think we found a few places where they're nesting. And as far as numbers of fish so far, I can't complain. And we switched to a worm and quickly caught a nice sized fish. Now today we're not after any state records. We're not out to win any fishing tournaments. We're out to just look for some place that you may have driven right past and thought about, well, what is that lake right there? Well, if you hear the highway noise behind us, that's 75 right outside of Corinth. And I have driven by this lake many, many times and seen people fishing on it. And you know what? So far today, we've had a pretty good little fishing trip. As we continue our less than scientific study, one thing we have learned today while fishing right next to the interstate is that 1 out of 2 18-wheelers like to fish, because they're all beeping. So to all you 18-wheelers out there who'd rather be in the boat, we appreciate what you do, carrying all our stuff up and down the roads and delivering them to where they need to go. Thank you very much. So far, so good. Corinth Lake, here's what I've seen. If you want to bring a kid somewhere where there's a lot of action going on and there's a lot of bluegill, this is the place to do it. I saw some nice bass. Catching them? Every now and then. They're in here. All right, let's see, catch a few more here, and then we'll finish up in Owen County at Elmer Davis if all works as planned. It's pulling pretty good. That's a good bluegill. That's probably one of the best bluegill of the day. Nice bluegill. Not huge, but he's an eater. We're wrapping it up here on Corinth. We just did a tiny bit of bass fishing, and no sooner than I threw in a plastic worm, I caught a very decent bass. Been catching a lot of little fellows on the fly rod. But as far as numbers of fish, they're here and they're ready to eat. Great place to take a kid. But it's been a fun little lake. And they're still biting. In our continuing quest for lesser known department managed lakes, we have stopped at Elmer Davis in Owen County. And I never like to catch a fish on the first cast. That was maybe the third cast. And today we're going to try a little fly rod action. This lake is known, in the past it's been known for bluegill, red ear, bass, some nice catfish up here. Again, Elmer Davis Lake is in Owen County. It's not too far from Frankfort. It's easy to get to. There's 2 ramps you can put in. Here there is a 9.9 horsepower limit. If you have a big boat like this, you cannot run your motor other than to put it on the trailer. You cannot set jugs, you cannot set limb lines on this particular lake. But I tell you what, as you can see, it's a beautiful lake. Now what I really like to catch is a bunch of bluegill today. Yeah, you know what? We need to fill the live well up. That's what I'm looking for. That's what you can catch at Elmer Davis. I would sincerely like to get a mess of those to eat for dinner tonight. Now that is what I remember this lake being like years ago. But man, I would sure like to catch just enough for dinner. Aha! I don't know what I've got, but man, he's pulling. Yes! Yes! Oh, that's a good one right there. Look what a bluegill. 8 or 10 more of those, I got dinner. And what we've done, we found a stretch of weather that's about the same over the last several days. Rain's behind us, hopefully. And we're gonna try these lakes under pretty much the same conditions, same outfit. And usually this is a great judge of what's in a lake. This little fly rod, because they like that topwater presentation. Oh, we're eking them out today. Another good size, bigger than your hand, bluegill on the fly rod. I'm gonna remember that spot. But mostly what we're catching are big aggressive males. Like that right there. There he is. I saw him out here messing around. This little bay is loaded with little bitty bass. And they're just cruising trying to find something to eat. What's going on, buddy? You catch any fish?
No.
What? Uh-huh. Where is it? That's a good sized female. That'll work. I can get a fillet off either side of that. Just a good eating size fish right there. Hand size. Let me tell you about our day-to-day here at Elmer Davis. Of course, we're doing our own little unscientific, standardized sampling technique involving a fly rod and maybe a plastic worm. Today, it's been hard to put down the fly rod. I would give this lake a thumbs up for bluegill, bass. Just a great place to take kids and get out and fish. And some good bass are caught out here, and they sample some good bass out of this lake. All right, thumbs up for Elmer Davis. I may have some fish to clean. No, that won't eat. Still fun to catch.